YouTube? Griffin here, coming back to you all with another live stream. Trying to get this thing set up properly here. So bear with me if you're going to be tuning in after this goes from a live to a video. But we're in what I like to call the end of the month shenanigans, of course. And I apologize for the fan, by the way. I'll probably turn that off for you guys. Get that turned off because I know that's got to be super annoying to see in the background. But we're getting towards, of course, what I like to call end of the month shenanigans. When, of course, not necessarily we're done running our stops for our pest control business or anything like that, but it's definitely winding down just to give you guys an idea. Trying to load up my calendar here really quickly. And first and foremost, if you're tuning in either live or after this goes from a live to a video, just wonder who the heck is this guy. My name is Griffin Thomas, of course. I'm the owner of the company you see here, Preferred Pest Management. And on this channel, I just kind of document my overall entrepreneurial journey. We have like over 700, maybe even more videos at this point. Just me documenting everything going back to, I believe, 2017, roughly. Started out selling stuff on Amazon and eBay. We did some stock market trading, just, any means to try to achieve financial freedom, right? And I just document all that. I don't, try to sell you all a bunch of crazy BS or anything like that. I just, tell you guys what works for me, what doesn't work for me, things to avoid, things to, learn from me, essentially. And if I don't have an answer to your question, then, I'll tell you straight up. Or if I know somebody that may have an answer to that question, I'll point them your way, that kind of thing. So if you're into that and you haven't already, subscribe down below, hit the bell icon. You guys know all that good stuff. And if you enjoyed today's video or live stream, if you're tuning in live, do us a favor, smash the thumbs up button as well. But yeah, like I said, we're getting into, of course, this final stretch of the month here, the last full week of the month. I love whenever the calendar actually lays out the way that it did this month, where we actually have like 4 full weeks and actually a little bit of change. We even had an extra day on there at the beginning of the month. It makes it where you get in maximum number of working days. Like this month, if you only work Monday through Friday, of course, you got in a solid 21 working days. And if you're like me, not scared to work an occasional Saturday here and there, we got in 23 working days this month. So not a bad month at all in terms of overall getting stops done. Of course, I did have some time off in the middle of the month because my daughter went to the hospital. Thankfully, everything's okay there. But finally getting back into the swing of things, and we're not, when I say end of the month shenanigans, like I said at the beginning of the video, it doesn't mean that, everything is just office work. Like today, for example, I got home around 1 o'clock, just after 1 o'clock. We ran what, 7 stops today. Nothing crazy, more windshield time than anything. To be honest, we went from, for those of you that know the Dallas area, I know a lot of you guys that follow the channel live in the Dallas area or at least know the Dallas area. We went from a town called Saxe, Texas, back to Rowlett, Texas, all the way out to Royce City, and then, of course, back to Rowlett. So we had quite a bit of windshield time overall. Our longest drive of the day was 26 minutes. So definitely not ideal. But again, end of the month shenanigans, you just kind of do what you can to, of course, get the stops done. Trying to think. I know we've had a lot of questions and comments coming in recently about, the pest control side of things. I guess I can actually get that pulled up here. I'm on my laptop here. I figured, just try to go live for you guys if you have any questions or anything. I know some of you all are probably still out in the field working, but if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, don't hesitate to shout it out in the chat, of course. I'm trying to get these comments pulled up from you guys because I have done a horrible job of keeping up with the comments lately, just with it being a super stressful, busy month as of late. But let's see. Just want to see any questions. So Sassadi, I don't want to mispronounce that if that's your name. They asked this question a couple times about commercial pest control pricing specifically. Good news is I did create a quick little video about that that I'm planning on uploading. I'm probably going to edit it tonight, so assuming I have some time, I'll get that edited and hopefully get that uploaded tomorrow. Get it scheduled or whatever the case may be. But yeah, been super swamped, of course. So, but that video will be very good for those of you that are looking for like commercial pest control pricing specifically. How's it going, Esteban? Hey, Griff, might have to come back and re-listen here as I'm at work. What's your opinion on Angie? So Angie, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt from the standpoint of I never actually followed through in terms of I never ended up using them, as a matter of fact. So I don't want to just say without actually using them that they are, trash or anything like that. But I will say from other people's experience that like I trust very, very much. You guys know there's another guy that I'm actually buddies with who lives in the same DFW, the Dallas, Texas area as me, and he used them, and he's of the opinion that, he's like, it's gotten worse since the whole merger, takeover, whatever you want to call it. But he said when he first started his business, which was about 5 or 6 years ago, I think he's coming up on 6 years in March, something like that. He said when he started his business, it was pretty good. He was like, I like the fact that back then they were only sending the leads out to a maximum of 2 to 3 people, which now sounds like they're just kind of sending those leads out to as many, companies as they can, and it's first come, first serve. Um, but he did not have a overall horrible experience. He does tell me that he doesn't really use them anymore. He said he just doesn't really have a need to with, like Google Organic is what we refer to it as, calls coming in, which is great for him. He's not, as far as I know, he doesn't really do a whole lot with it. He has somebody kind of managing it for him that he just pays once a year and that kind of thing. But, and my tripod is not cooperating today. But like I said, from my personal experience, I can't really speak on them. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I will say the last 1 to 2 years is when I've heard the worst of it, unfortunately, which I think is right around when that merger, because what was it before? It was just Angie, wasn't it? Angie's List and oh my gosh, I forget the other company's name now before they merged. But yeah, it sounds like it's gone downhill, unfortunately. But an alternative that I do actually somewhat like is, yes, Home Advisor was what it used to be. Exactly. Home Advisor and Angie's List, and they merge and they're just Angie now. Um, an alternative to them that I do like from my personal experience, as well as some other people's as well, is Thumbtack. Thumbtack can be pretty good. I will say the quality of lead is less, but the price per lead is a lot less. And when I mean a lot less, I mean we're talking like as low as $5 to $10 per lead. Depending on the job, I'll say I don't like advertising for like bed bug, termite, the big jobs, right? Because they know that it's worth more, so they charge a lot more for those leads. But even then, you're talking 20 to 40 bucks, like nothing astronomically high, nothing like Google local services where they're trying to charge you like 70 to $90 or more in some cities I've heard recently, for just a basic, you know, pest control lead or anything like that, right? Um, but like I said, overall, they're not too bad if you're looking for like an alternative. They're very similar. The beauty of it though is with Thumbtack, it's more of just a like a contractor, the customer. It's kind of like Google local services from the standpoint of they are deciding to ask you for information. So you're only being charged when that customer makes contact with you, if that makes sense. It's not like Angie where customer says what they need, they send it out to, multiple companies and you get charged for it, if that makes sense. Of course, the customer more than likely is kind of going down the list, hitting up a couple companies, but that's where, again, your ability to close the deal, of course, you're not going to get all of them. That's what I stress when it comes to lead generation and different metrics and all that. But, your ability to close comes in there as well. How's it going there, Eric? What's up, Griff? What is your late fee policy for residential customers? Grace period, late fee amount, things. So I don't really have to implement a late fee per se. The closest that it's funny you mentioned this question because I'm kind of dealing with this right now for the first time in a long time. I had a one-time pest control service customer who, signed up for a one time. It was like what 200 plus tax, pretty small house, that kind of thing. So he paid me like half of it, almost right on half, in cash, and he was like, because they were just in the process of literally moving in that day, and he was like, "I gotta go pick up another load, for moving in. Can you send me the invoice for the rest, and I'll get it paid this evening or whatever the case may be." And I was like, "Yeah, no, it's no problem." Because I mean, he already gave me a bunch of cash for, or not a bunch, but big portion of it up front. And it's been almost 2 months now, and I haven't gotten the rest of the money. I keep messaging, which is funny because he saw exactly where my business is located. I could literally go knock on his door and, collect, hardcore collect, right? But I've just been texting him every single day. This is the first time I've had this kind of situation in a while. If you're wondering too, well, how do you avoid that for the most part? Well, one, get a debit or credit card on file. And if a customer is not, because it does happen, we have people who they're not comfortable doing that. We tell them, well, this is how we do it. If you want to, pay the check, pay cash, whatever the case may be, then it's going to cost you X amount, which is obviously going to be a higher amount. And a lot of times that'll either A, cause them to be like, okay, I'll just go ahead and put a card on file, or B, they'll go with somebody else. Like I said, it's more so, are we losing out on sales probably because of that? Probably a few, but you'd be surprised. It's really not an issue for most people. Another thing too is with customers paying for the year up front. You know, the beauty of that is you're getting the whole year's money up front and then you're done. Now, say for example, we have customers occasionally where card will decline, expiration date, needs updated, whatever the case may be. Again, we're pretty lenient with that one because again, when they're paying per month, is broken down into small payments. So what we'll do is if they haven't paid, say, $40 a month over 3 months for the quarterly service, say they didn't get it updated that first service, or not first service, first month, not a problem. We'll try to check in. And a lot of times it's a matter of playing phone tag. I have a customer, speaking of which, right now, who we finally got updated this month, but it literally took a whole quarter almost to, just stop playing phone tags. They would call us at the worst time. I would call them at the worst time. We were just constantly playing phone tag. We were even texting each other about, like, hey, sorry, I missed you. Again, once you get a card on file, you'll be surprised how little of an issue this becomes, because more times than not, by the time you actually come up to the service month, you'll get that card back on file and everything's good to go. Now, say worst case scenario, we haven't had this happen yet, but say worst case scenario, it comes up where we go through that whole quarter and they don't, this is from a quarterly pest control example. Say we go through that full quarter and nothing gets updated, they don't contact us, we can tell they're kind of ghosting us, then, whatever is what it is, we just cancel it. We keep it in our records or whatever to charge it off as a loss or whatever for taxes. And we move on. We don't, do the collections thing, unless say they, are on a payment plan for an exclusion service or something, then of course that we would turn in because we have a repayment contract with the customer on exclusion services. But that gets a little more in depth. If you guys want me to do like a future video or something on like what our contract looks like, I can definitely pull that up for you guys just so you see that. But for like general pest control type of stuff, mosquito, monthly rodent, whatever the case may be, like I said, you kind of just get a vibe from them that, hey, they're ghosting us, let's move on. And it is what it is. You chalk it up for what it is and move on. And, maybe if nothing else, they can refer you to somebody. A lot of times when customers, ghost us, or, they're canceling because of financial reasons, whatever the case may be, I'm totally like understanding. I'll be like, hey, not to bother you or anything, but, we rely, a lot of our business comes through referrals. We almost kind of we're not begging them for referral or anything, but what I do is I just ask them, do you know anybody by chance that you think would benefit from our services? And sometimes they'll be like, they can tell where that conversation's going, and they'll be like, yeah, yeah, I do. I'll pass your number along, that kind of thing. And I'll just ask them, hey, if you get a hold of them, ask them if you can send us their number, and we can reach out to them, that kind of thing. Just asking for a lead, right? Just to at least replace that revenue, if that makes sense. So we've never had to do like late fees, anything like that. It's just, not worth it at the end of the day. Let's see. How's it going, Todd Petty? I had to block Angie's number. They call from a lot of multiple numbers. This is true. And one way you can get away from that as well is if you're using, say, CallRail or, Open Phone. That's another one that we use. We use both because we like tracking the marketing, which is what we use CallRail for. And then it intertwines with Open Phone. So what we do is we have, I believe it's with CallRail, one of them, both of them you can do this, but I forget which one I have it set up on. I believe it's with CallRail. It'll say, press one if you're an existing customer, press two if you're a new customer. And usually, if anyone from Angie or anybody like that calls, as soon as they get that, they got a feeling that you're a bigger company that's not really going to need them, or they're getting a hold of a call center. It's a good way to get around that. It's definitely worth the money. If you don't feel like you can afford CallRail because it is, about $100 a month, start out with like Open Phone, in my opinion, because it's like $10 a month, something like that, maybe more actually, 10 or $20 a month, and I think it's 20 to be exact. $20 a month, and like we said, that there is pretty cheap to be able to block a lot of that out. And it blocks out scam calls in general, robot calls. I can't tell you how many times I get from my wife, because she answers the phone too. She'll even say, like, I don't know if like I missed a call or two today. It didn't show up. And I'm like, no, those are just robot calls. If they, that's a little hack, by the way, for you guys with robot calls. If you set up that, let me see what it's called for you guys since I have the laptop right here. Um, because it is a very cool feature that like CallRail and Open Phone, a lot of these companies have to offer. I think it's called like simulation or something of that nature. If it'll hurry up and load up here, maybe if I close some of these tabs, it'll load up quicker. Let's see. And if you all have any questions, by the way, don't hesitate to shout them out in the chat. I have the chat pulled up down below. That's why we're, you know, vertical versus horizontal on today's live stream. What is going on? I'm saying this. Let me load up Open Phone instead, because I know I can do it on there as well. Something's going on with CallRail. Come on. But yeah, like I was saying, you can set this up to where, all right, let's see, settings, integrations. I haven't had to do it in a while. Let's see. Go over here. So when you set this up, there we go. So you go into your phone numbers if you're on Open Phone, and then down at the bottom, they call it phone menu. So on CallRail, it is something different. On Open Phone, they call it, just phone menu. And if you enable that, like I said, what it'll do is it'll say, you can customize it. Ours just says press one if you're a current customer, press two if you're a new customer, or whatever the case may be. And with robot calls, that will automatically like hang up the call if it's a robot call, because, well, it times out the call. Let's put it that way. So if you're getting a lot of robot calls, we were struggling with that big time, especially once we started, with our local SEO efforts with the Google Map Pack and things of that nature. We started getting, I mean, there's days where I was getting a dozen robot calls in a day. Not just robot calls, but overall scam calls in general. If you enable that phone menu, be it on Open Phone, CallRail, whatever the case may be, it'll time out that call because the robots aren't able to obviously press a button. So it's a very cool feature to have. How's it going, Alec? What is the best way to going about? What is the best way to go about having a terms and conditions document written for pest control? So a lot of times, if you get a pest control software, be it Field Routes, Gorilla Desk, who we've been using for going on 3 years now, pretty much since we started the business. Usually, if you use a pest control specific software, they will already have contracts for your state, written up that are very, very, a lot of legal jargon in there. The Gorilla Desk one, for example, is a two-page document, very thorough. There is one or two things that I like to have changed with, which probably sometime this winter, next spring, I'll probably get it updated because you can, like on Gorilla Desk, for example, upload your own for like $35 or something like that. And if you don't know what Gorilla Desk is, if you check out my LinkTree down below, I believe I put it in the description box today. If you check that out, one, you would get 14 days of their pro version or whatever. They hooked us up with like an affiliate link or whatever, being transparent about that, of course. But like I said, I've been using them for like 3 years now and I haven't had any issues. But that's how we have avoided having to like pay, an attorney to write up. You could try to write up your own. I know my cousin, he's Mr. Save a lot of money, penny pincher, who, he like wrote up his own agreements, but the ones that I use with Gorilla Desk, and like I said, I know Field Routes even has some that you can use as well. Those tend to have more than enough in there to, you know, cover your ass, so to speak. Even on the termite side, like every which way, like on the termite one in Gorilla Desk, for example, you can put in there no warranty, retreatment only, whatever the case may be for the warranty. And that helps big time because, of course, getting an attorney to write that up is not going to be cheap, especially when you factor in all the different ones like rodent agreement, pest agreement, termite agreement, all that type of, it all adds up, right? But yeah, like I said, today I'm just going live. I didn't know how many of you guys would be hopping in today since I know it's been a while since we gone live. I'm just going live today. We're getting towards the end of the month, and I figured, hey, I'm already at the desk, on the computer. Why not go ahead and go live? And, if you guys have any questions, just shout them out. And while I'm working, I'm just checking it out for you guys, letting you guys know kind of what I'm doing as I'm doing it here on the laptop. I'm in multiple like pest control owner groups, like I'm sure a lot of you guys are. And those of you that are in the pest control industry specifically, of course. I'm in a pest control, like owners only type of group, which I believe, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to join that group until you actually like own a business that is visible online and that kind of thing, which makes it nice because, of course, it filters out a lot of the people that are, DIYers just looking to get the info from us, right? But in that group, somebody mentioned this new software, and I did some research on it because it's not cheap at all, actually. It's about $300 a month. But I'm not gonna mention them or anything yet because, like I do with everything on this channel, I put it to a test. I try it out myself first, just like with Gorilla Desk, just like with OpenPhone, just like with CallRail, just like with Google Local Services. Anything that I mention on this channel, I always, say it ends up being a total dud, I'll mention that as well. But I don't want to, mention them and you guys go and start spending money or something like that on them, and then it, ends up not being good. I'd rather, waste my own money on the software first and test it out for you guys, and then, bring back the results to you guys. But just to give you guys an idea, it's kind of like a AI type of company, and it's not the guy, by the way, if you're in our Discord group, I haven't been in there recently, but I have been getting some notifications. It's not the guy who, apparently has some kind of, Facebook lead generating software or something like that. It's not his or anything, so don't think it's that. But again, this is a startup that is in Silicon, as I like to call it, Silicon Valley. They do a lot of stuff actually. You can do review generation, I mean, there's a lot. I just started using this week, as a matter of fact, yesterday. I say this week, like this week's almost over, but just started using this week, and the goal is to get leads through Facebook ads specifically. Now you can link it with your Google business profile as well, but we're using it for Facebook specifically. It essentially creates and manages your Facebook ad campaigns for you, all through artificial intelligence. And a lot of people in that group, I've seen it mentioned multiple times. And like I said, I did my research on it just to make sure people weren't like pumping up this AI BS or anything like that. And I mean, it's looking pretty good. I was even telling my wife last night, I was like, man, if I had $1 million sitting around, I'd probably try to invest in this startup that I just, found out about in this pest control group. But my whole point is the goal is, from what other people were showing, they're getting leads through Facebook for anywhere between about $8 to $15 um, per lead. So that's not a bad cost whatsoever in terms of, Facebook marketing compared to, of course, my own experience and perception with Facebook ads has been, hey, it's decent for, you know, not word of mouth. What am I looking for? Like brand awareness, man. Till I'm at the end of the month, I'm worn out. It's good for brand awareness, but not so much for customer acquisition. But like I said, we're just kind of trying it out. They did say that usually takes a couple days to a couple weeks, depending on your, budget per day. So I'm trying out. I'm going to be creating a couple ads this week and running them at, small amounts, 5 to 10, maybe even $15 a day. See kind of how it goes throughout September, October. Luckily, where I'm at in the Dallas, Texas area, pests are kind of around borderline all year round. So we'll see kind of how it goes. And like I said, if this thing ends up being, what some other pest control owners have said it is, then I'll definitely shout them out and hopefully maybe get some kind of deal for you guys as well, or something like a, referral or something. All right, what's up, Alec? Thanks. And how did you store your chemicals when you started your business? Was your storage method within? Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that. I just had my first, I have the paperwork right here, as a matter of fact. I just had my first Texas Department of Agriculture inspection. Um, what day was this? Not last Friday, but the Friday before, I believe. We actually just had that for the first time. They're supposed to come out within 6 months of you being in business, but they got behind with COVID and everything, and took them almost 3 years to come out. And not that I mind or anything, but yeah, yeah, no. Like for example, with the things going on with the truck this past month, we've been running out of our Nissan, which isn't a covered bed. So what I did is I went to Home Depot, got one or two of those storage totes that what you'll want to pay attention to is don't get the cheap ones. You want to get the ones they have like little holes where you can actually lock them. And I got a couple of these locks, which I got an extra one right here. I got a couple of these little padlocks. And what I do is when I remember to, just going to be honest, like when I get home in the evening or whatever the case may be, I'll just take and, lock those up, that kind of thing. And yeah, yeah, that's how I've been doing it as of late. Of course, I've had my Chevy for, that first 2.5 years where everything was in that covered bed. So all I had to do is make sure that was locked up and good to go. And then in terms of like extra chemical that's like not on the truck, I actually have a shed in my backyard that, I can put stuff in as well. And it, of course, has a lock and all that kind of stuff on it as well. And yeah, yeah, no, the inspector that came out to me, she was pretty, straightforward but nice about like, explaining things. She was like, yeah, when it comes to your chemical, it's all pretty straightforward, just don't have it sitting all over the place and that kind of thing. Just kind of common sense stuff, right? Even the book, in all honesty, the book, because I always have my books, they're literally right over here. I can see them right here. They will make you stress out about the smallest things. And I asked a lot of questions. I mean, I can't even remember all the questions that I asked, but she could even tell. She was like, yeah, you were definitely prepared, almost overly prepared. And yeah, it was pretty easy compared to what I thought it was going to be. Now we'll see how it goes here in a couple years. I forget. I think it says they're supposed to come out at the minimum within 3 to 5 years, something like that. Going forward, we'll see. Um, Hopefully, she is the inspector going forward because she was pretty nice, to be honest. I've heard some people have some not rough experiences, but like some inspectors that were like really hard on stuff, like, tracking chemical logs and this kind of thing. Like, for example, I know, oh, he has a YouTube channel, as a matter of fact, Aviation Pest Control or Aviator Pest Control, something like that. Shout out to him. He has a pretty good YouTube channel as well for like pest control related content and business content, that kind of thing, similar to my channel. He said his inspector told him that whenever you're doing your work order, you need to not, you can't just put general or not general, like, oh my gosh, general maintenance. That's what it was. You can't put just general maintenance. You have to put an actual target pest, regardless if you put ants, spiders, whatever the case may be. You have to put at least one target pest. So I asked her about that because I was totally upfront with her because she was like, just pick a random day, from last year, year before. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just learned recently that apparently we can't put general maintenance. We need to put a target pest. And she was like, where'd you hear that? And I was like, I heard from another inspector that you were supposed to do that, like from another company. The inspector came out to that company and this is what they told him. And she was like, I don't know why he told him that because technically, if you're not gonna put every single pest, she's like, you should do it one of two ways. Either you should put general maintenance, because that covers pretty much everything that's on the label, or you need to list every single bug that is on the label. And I was like, well, why is that? She's like, well, because say, that you're saying I'm just treating for ants, and then you accidentally killed crickets. Well, crickets weren't your target pests. So, it's a gray area from what she was saying. It sounds like kind of an inspector to inspector thing. Um, I've been meaning to do a video or live stream for you guys about just my overall inspection in general. Like I said, I've been super busy this month. Otherwise, I would have been on top of that for you guys. Hopefully, I'll get that done here within the next week or two. I'll put it on my Google Calendar to get that done for you all. But yeah, no, it was an interesting conversation with her in terms of just different things that I didn't really know at the end of the day. But yeah, no, good question. But yeah, hopefully you guys have been enjoying the live stream so far. If you have been, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button. It lets me know and lets, YouTube know that you guys like these live streams and this type of content. And of course, if you're new and have a question or anything, feel free to shout it out. And if you're new as well, I think this is what I meant to say. If you're new, be sure to smash that subscribe button as well. That way you won't miss any of the, future live streams or any video uploads that we have. Again, if you're wondering who the heck is this guy, my name is Griffin Thomas. I'm the owner of the company Prefer Pest Management, and on this channel, I just kind of document, things that I do from an entrepreneurial standpoint. Been posting on YouTube for shoot, I don't even know how long now. 7 years roughly, 6 or 7 years, and just like I said, let you guys know what works for me, what doesn't work for me, how everything's going, and just to give you guys an idea, we are in a. I don't like I said in the previous video from not yesterday, but I think maybe the previous video before that. We are for the first time kind of in a sticky situation when it comes to our business finance. It's not even necessarily like make or break or anything like that. It's just frustrating, I guess. Um, we had that transmission issue. It was a $5,600 oh shit moment, and that when you're a company that's doing $10,000 to $20,000 a month, pretty big expense. And that, along with my daughter going to the hospital, set me back a couple days there. It's just then my accountant that same week decides to let me know about this new, you know, thing that they're starting to do where, one, I already owed them like 2,400 bucks for previous services, not from like the April taxes or anything like that, but like my ongoing quarterly stuff, my S Corp stuff, this and that and the other. Um, but they let me know, hey, we forgot to charge you for this. This, you owe us 2,400 regardless. By the way, we're starting this new thing. If you decide you want to do it, it's going to be 1,900 starting in October, November, December, and then 700 to 800 a month going forward. Which, don't get me wrong, is better than just these random, $5,000 bill, $2,000 bill, 15. It's better than just being blindsided by freaking bills, right? But definitely stressful whenever, you've already been dealing with a little bit of financial lately. But like they always say, when it rains, it pours. You got to be ready. Like I said, it's not anything that's gonna like be putting us out of business or anything crazy. It's just, we might have some debt on the business for the first time ever, and it's just stressful, or not stressful. It's annoying, I guess, is the word that I like to use because, like I always tell you guys, we don't use debt to like finance our company or anything like that. We've been strictly cash flowing everything. Now, don't get me wrong, when I very first started my business, you know, Stripe offered me a loan with a ridiculous rate. They offered me, what was it, like, oh, this was early on. I want to say like $5,000. And how the Stripe loans work is they just take a percentage of every dollar you earn to repay the loan. So you don't even really notice that the loan's being repaid. Like you're not making a physical payment from your bank account to the Stripe loan. You can, but they're taking like a fixed percentage of every dollar that, when someone swipes a card with you or whatever the case may be, that's going to go directly to that loan. And because interest rates were low, very, very low. As a matter of fact, when I started the business, one, there's 0% accruing interest on their loans, which is cool, but they have like a fixed percentage, which is like, a fee essentially. And at the time, those fees were literally like 3%. So I was like, I can get $5,000 for just a one time. I forget what it came out to. Let's see, 3% of 1,000 is $30. Yeah, yeah. So it's about 150 to 200 bucks. I think it was almost 200 to be exact. It was like 195, 198. Just a one time fee. I was like, so you're telling me you're gonna loan me five? Like I'm pretty much getting a cash advance 5,000 because again, no accruing interest. You're gonna give me 5,000 right now, and I'm only paying 195 for it. I was like, shit, debt arbitrage. I was like, I'm going to take that money and pay off some high interest credit cards from when I first started the business that had like, again, interest rates were low. So the interest was like 20% or something like that on those credit cards. But I was like, 0% accruing interest. There's a one time little 195, we'll just call it $200 fee versus, paying like $200 of interest every single month, that this card isn't being paid on. So we just took it and, technically you need to use that money only for business expenses legally. And technically it was because this was a business credit card that we used for business expenses. We were just doing debt arbitrage from that standpoint. Would not suggest it if you are very, new to business and you again it's a self-awareness thing. How well are you, like, what's your financial literacy? Not calling anybody ignorant or anything like that, but let's be real, there's a reason 70% of people are broke, right? There's not a lot of people that have financial literacy out here. So if you're not good with finances, one, get good with finances, but two, do not do any like debt arbitrage stuff, especially when you're first getting started in business, because if you're not careful, it can bite you in the butt. But my whole point was going back to just this little bit of stressful season we're in right now. Yeah, this is the first real time that we're actually gonna roll into a new month with like actual debt that I'm like, damn, like gonna be paying some bullshit interest. Like I cannot stand. I love getting interest. I love getting interest. I love little dividend drips and all that, but I cannot stand having to pay interest on things. That's a big thing of mine. You know, that's a big thing of everybody. Any person that has achieved any level of financial freedom and success will tell you, you know, that's the number one thing you must do is stay out of any debt that's going to accrue interest because you're literally just burning your money at that point. So, on top of inflation. So, yeah, looks like, oh, here we go. Thought we were, didn't know we had anybody in the chat. How's it going there? Tropical Fruit Loops. Brother man, it's my third week of business. That's awesome. It's been going well. That's awesome too. I have a few grand in my pocket and some on the books coming up. There you go. Yeah, see, that's why I keep telling everybody. Everybody, it like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's days, weeks, months, even that are going to be stressful. That you have this weird feeling in your gut, that uncertainty of man, is this going to work? This and that. But as soon as you hit the ground running, assuming that you're doing what you know you need to do, you'll be surprised. Like Tropical Fruit Loop said, he's only in his third week of business now and already has a few grand in the pocket and already has some on the books coming up. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about out here. But yeah, no, if we don't have any other questions or anything, I guess we'll go ahead and start wrapping the stream up as we usually do. If you have any questions, I'll stay on for probably another minute or two. If you've enjoyed the stream, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, just wanted to hop on live here while I was, doing some work this evening. I'm probably going to be on the laptop for another hour or so doing some things. Just trying to get the website better, get the SEO better, get the phone ringing more like we try to every single day. I'm trying to start being better about removing myself from the business. Like a lot of times that I'll tell you guys, if as soon as you can get an office outside of your home, do it because I'll tell you, it's easy to get suckered into just staying here if you're a high driven individual, like I know a lot of you guys are. That's why a lot of you guys, subscribe to the channel, I'm sure, because you're like minded, like me, from the standpoint of like you're a highly driven individual. You want to, achieve maximum success. I have found with having this office in my home, like an actual true office, quote unquote, that it is so easy for me to get suckered in here and just I mean, there's been so many nights that I've been up till midnight to 2 a.m. just suckered in, and I've been trying to do a lot better about, usually around 5 to 7 o'clock, depending on when my wife gets done with dinner. Usually dinner time, essentially, anymore is the time where I'll just kind of force myself, regardless of where I am with work that I'm doing. I'll try to get to a stopping point, of course, if possible. Like, don't get me wrong, if I'm in the middle of some shit, it's getting done. But, assuming that I'm just doing something like making a blog article, editing some stuff, for like campaigns or whatever the case may be, I just force myself to, remove myself from the work and just, go spend that time with the family because, it's like I said, it's easy to get suckered in having a home office to just work, 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 work. And don't get me wrong, there are seasons where you need to do that. But once you get to a level, in my opinion, where you've at least, got to where your lifestyle may have improved a little bit, you got all your debts and stuff paid off, or most of them, right? You're not having to worry about paying your next rent payment and all that kind of thing, keeping the lights on. Once you cover everything, doing what you got done, what you need to get done, don't feel bad about taking some of that time back and, spending the time with your loved ones. Like for me and my daughter, it's jumping in the pool for 30 minutes or so, going out with the wife on date nights or whatever the case may be, or even just simply having a dinner with the family. That's one thing I'm really trying to focus on a little bit. But yeah, like I said, we'll get off that soapbox. Let's see. Thanks, Griffin. You're the best. Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you tuning in, and I'm always glad to hear about your all success. Like, And if you're watching this after it goes from a live to a video and you've started your pest control business or whatever business you all may start, I know not everybody here has a pest control business. Whatever business you may have started, let us know, your success stories. I always love to hear it. Keeps me motivated, as well, because sometimes, like I said, when we have stressful seasons like we're having right now, man, it is easy to kind of just get in this almost, I don't want to say depression, because I don't believe in depression. That's a whole different subject. But just kind of this like, almost like a fog, just like, oh God, here we go again. Like almost just feels like being back in a job. So whenever I see other people's success stories and stuff, it definitely helps, you know, get to that, punch through that wall. Optimal mindset. Hey, what's going on, man? How's it going? How's it going? But yeah, no, like I said, I'm probably gonna be at it here for the next hour or so in terms of just working on, some of our business stuff that we need to get worked on. I'm gonna try, hopefully, to reply to some of your all's comments from previous videos. I'll shout out some of you all from the last week or so because I know I haven't replied to some of you all. Mike Williams, 1946, says thanks for all the info you put out there. I've thought about going out on my own, but felt overwhelmed by having to try to figure everything out. Watching your videos the last week has pushed me over the edge. Planning to start in March. That is awesome. I'm at least going to give you all some hearts, and hopefully you all see this that way. You don't think I'm just ignoring you. Incognito Drew says, stay grinding, you're the man. I appreciate the kind words. Estevan with the thumbs up. Always appreciate you. Xbox 360 Rook says, let's go. Yes, sir. And then, like I said, Society, I hate to mispronounce names, was asking about commercial pest control pricing. Like I said, we're going to have a video hopefully going up tomorrow is the plan. Let's see, tomorrow's Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday at the latest. I'll get that posted for you guys about commercial pest control pricing. I think that'll help a lot of you guys. Um, Adam Music Mouse 9694 says, "Great video. You're really making me think twice about getting my own business." Hopefully that's a good thing. Hopefully they mean you know, thinking twice like they were doubting and now they want to, I hope. But I mean, let's be real. The other thing is, like I preach on this channel as well, the self-awareness aspect of, do you really have what it takes? And don't get me wrong, I think everybody has what it takes. It's a matter of, you know, are you willing, I guess, more than anything? Are you willing to do the sacrifice for 1 to 5 years, depending on your market? Are you willing to spend 12 to 20 hours a day doing whatever it takes to learn, learn, learn? That was literally my first two, and even still today, I'm still learning. Now that this AI stuff is, going crazy, I'm right back to where I was 2 or 3 years ago, just learning. If you're not willing to do what it takes to, learn, you're not going to win at the end of the day. And sometimes that's okay. If you're in a stage of life where, you just don't have the time to do that, trust me, I get it. I mean, in all honesty, I don't have the time. My family probably suffers a little bit in terms of how much. That's why I was just mentioning earlier. I'm starting to learn now that we are kind of like safe, quote unquote. Obviously, you're never safe, but we're safe from the standpoint of not worrying about the lights getting cut off and, having to really want for anything. I'm starting to try to force myself to, by 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, take a step back. Maybe I'll come in after the kids go to sleep for a little bit, but usually after 7 o'clock anymore, like I'm just done for the night. But yeah, no, it's all about self-awareness. How's it going? Not, oh man, I hate mispronouncing names. How's it going? I think it's Naisha, Varela. Oops, speaking of potential spam call. I don't know how that one got through, but let's see. Hello, new here. Husband and I are excited about starting our pest control business. You're so much help. Thank you. Oh no, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I always love hearing about. I had no idea the amount of people that were looking to start their own pest control business specifically. I know, that whenever I was Googling, looking up on YouTube, TikTok, I don't even think TikTok was around at that point. I think it was still called like what, Musically or something like that before TikTok. Um, what else? Instagram, that kind of thing. Anytime I would look up pest control related content, there really wasn't a lot out there. And I posted just a random video, like what, almost a year and a half or so now, about how I grew my pest control business to a six-figure business or whatever within my first year. And that video just kind of took off, I guess. Like it's over, I think, 7,000 views now, and we've gained like two or 300 subscribers from that video alone, which is just crazy. But that was just more of an update video because I had like 1,000 subscribers at the time. I was like, man, I haven't updated everybody because I've been so busy with my business. Like, let me let them know what's going on. And yeah, didn't realize how many of you all are looking to start a pest control business. It's pretty strange. Like, not strange, but it's cool. Like, something so niche that there's way more people that are looking to start a business in the pest control industry than I could have imagined. So, good luck to you all. What's going on, Braden's goofy channel? Do you actually know the Muffin Man? I do not. The one that lives on what's it called? What lane is it? Drury Lane? I don't remember. I know the Muffin Man from Shrek. How's it going, Joseph Miley? Hey Griffin, do you think sending out flyers to a targeted neighborhood or area would be effective marketing strategy? I've not. I'm very interested in doing so though, because like in my area, the DFW Metroplex, Dallas, Texas Metroplex, my God, neighborhoods are going up like quicker than freaking potholes even get repaired. It seems like it's a very good idea, in my opinion, if you live in an area similar to me where there's a lot of expansion going on. If you see neighborhoods just getting thrown up left and right, I think it's definitely a good idea. Now, like I said, I haven't done it yet myself. I plan on doing so probably sometime in February, March, assuming the funds are there to do so, depending on cost. I'm definitely going to be looking into it this winter, like just figuring out how much is it going to cost, what's the expected ROI. I always like to look into everything obviously before pulling the trigger. But yeah, if you are in an area that is growing quickly, and not even quickly, right? Just as long as you see new neighborhoods going up, I think it's definitely a good idea. If you're in an area that, isn't necessarily growing a lot, you just have a lot of older, mature neighborhoods, not like ghetto or anything, but you know what I mean, like just more established areas and there's not a lot of building going on. Probably not, just because you're probably unfortunately in an area similar to my own cousin actually and my grandfather who live in the Midwest and you know, I mean, it is what it is. Liberal policies not driving much growth at the end of the day in those areas in terms of people moving there. Um, it makes it more of a tap market where it's going to be a little more difficult. You're going to have to get more creative. You're probably going to have to heavily discount your initial service. Now, it's not to say that it would be a total failure. I'm just going based. This is just my own logic here. Like I said, I'm not, saying that it is for a fact going to be a failure in those examples, but I just see it being a little harder, if that makes sense, where these neighborhoods that people are moving to first time ever, a lot of first time home buyers, a lot of people who have moved out of state, they don't have a like for a fact these are brand new neighborhoods. Like unless if they are with a big company and they're transferring that service over, there's a 90-95% chance that they haven't been hit yet. Other than maybe by a annoying door knocker. So yeah, no, that those are the two examples I can mostly think of, and the one example that I think would work the best. And like I said, assuming that we end up pulling the trigger on that this upcoming early spring, I'll definitely be letting you guys know. And I was even thinking about doing one for this fall, winter, for rodent control, but we're getting plenty of rodent calls where I don't know that's really necessary. Could it like take us to the next level for rodent work? Sure. But can we handle that amount of work with me only having right now the one 1099 guy who can mostly only do the work on the weekends and occasionally a day or two throughout the week? You know, I don't want to like grow too fast if that makes sense from that side of it. Plus, that work is so up and down where I know for, early springtime, we'll definitely be able to handle the call volume for pest control, if that makes sense. Very lane. Yeah. Let's see. Awesome, good response. Thank you. Oh yeah, no, I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, Joseph Miley became a member. You are actually the first one. I don't even know how this works. It says you became a member. Let me see. It won't let me do anything for that. That's weird. Trying to do something for you. Huh. But no, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, you're the first one ever actually that like became any type of member. Um, yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, no, if you ever have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to drop it down in the chat. That actually brings up a good point. Speaking of the whole becoming a member, which I appreciated, Joseph Miley. We just actually did that recently. So I guess with YouTube, there's, you can do memberships and that kind of thing. Um, and there's like multiple tiers, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm not gonna like go into them or anything, heavy or anything. It's just, if you appreciate, there's like, I think the most basic one or whatever, the starter tier is like a thank you badge, which I think is what Joseph did, if I recall. But yeah, no. If you all, a lot of people have always asked me, how can we donate to you, whatever case may be. That's probably the easiest way, right there. And then, of course, there's the whole sticker crap and all that stuff on social media anymore. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. And then you get a badge like Joseph has. Let's see, got another one for you. Do you have any experiences with HOAs or subdivisions? They typically only allow certain service providers in, or is it free market? So, in terms of HOAs, I don't have a lot of experience. I know in terms of door knocking, of course, a lot of them have like no soliciting neighborhoods, if that makes sense, which is pretty hilarious because they still usually get door knocked pretty heavy. Um, and then in terms of marketing, usually you can contact like the HOA office, and sometimes they'll have like a newsletter or a magazine or some type of print ad that they may send out to the members or whatever for that neighborhood, right? Sometimes they even have a website that you can sometimes get a good quality backlink from that'll help your website. So it's worth it, in my opinion, to at least reach out to them. But in terms of do they only allow certain service providers, I don't believe so. But if nothing else, just look into that HOA. The HOA is going to be the main thing. Subdivisions in general, no, those are all free market, at least down here. Now, I do live in Texas, which is going to be one of the most free states in the union, of course, but yeah, no, I usually you're not going to deal with the issue or anything. This is going Luis or Lewis. I went with a marketing company. I don't think I did a good move. In what way? What way were they not like in what way was it not a good move, I guess, is the way to frame that question. Oh, apparently I can start a poll as well. I didn't know you could do all of this in the TikTok shop or TikTok shop. What am I thinking? In the YouTube live. I don't even have a TikTok shop. Wow. How's it going? John Gammon. I'm just trying to get this crap off my screen. Oops. There's a lot of stuff at the bottom of my screen right now. How's it going, John Gammon? Is Gorilla Desk easy to use? I'm about to sign up this week. I need it mainly for scheduling. Yeah, so here's the thing too, John, in my link tree below, they will give you a free, that's one thing their like owner, creator, Chris, me and him have a lot of contact. We're friends on Facebook, etc. I don't know him like personally or anything like a buddy. We're just, I've been with them for 3 years. There's a link down below they've hooked you all up with where you can try out the pro version for free for 2 weeks, which is awesome. I didn't have any trial whenever I signed up a few years ago. But it is, to answer your question, it is easy to use. It's very like drag and drop in terms of the calendar. Setting up a customer profile is really easy. It's super easy if you don't want to set that customer up as an active customer to set them as a lead. So then you can say you have some time to do some follow up. Say, you're getting into the slower season like we're about to go into here in a couple, well, down here in a couple months in the north, probably next month. You can go into your leads and then just hit them all up. Oh my gosh. I mean, I could go in for an hour. I've actually done a couple videos on Grill Desk, as a matter of fact, different types of tutorials and things of that nature. And if there's any questions you have about it too, you can let me know. You can comment on any of the videos that I've posted about Grill Desk or, in these live streams. Usually, a lot of times when I'll do live streams, I'll do them from the laptop as well. So, if there's anything specifically with Gorilla Desk, once you kind of get started, you can just let me know in our chat. You can join our Facebook group as well. We have a free Facebook group that you can join, Facebook and Discord. As a matter of fact, I'm more active in the Facebook anymore just because, I'm on Facebook more. But I'm in the Discord as well. But yes, Girl Desk is awesome. It's super easy. In my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, my experience only. I believe it's the best pest control software out there for companies with less than 75 employees. That's the one downside is they only allow for 75 technician routes. Now, technically, that still means you could have, CSR. So when I say employees, I mean like 75 routes or technicians, regardless if it's your OSPs, your technicians, that kind of thing. In terms of overall size, you're probably looking at least 100 employees before they become a little obsolete, but you're talking a very good sized company at that point. You're probably looking at having your own software built at that point. But yes, for companies like us where we're in that early startup stage up through 50 to 100 employees, I believe Gorilla Desk is the best one in the market by far. And like I said, if you want to try them out, we have that 2 week free trial that they hooked you all up with down below in my link tree. I believe it should be in my link tree. Let me double check my link tree. It should say something pretty obvious, like get 2 weeks of Gorilla Desk for free or, something along those lines. Let me double check here. Trying to get it pulled up. Oops. See, we got some more questions. Little background on me. I work in an office and an electrical engineer. Wow. I want to open a business. I believe, yeah, pest control is awesome. I'll be setting things up this coming months. So let me see. I cannot imagine not being able to teach my kids how. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. That's why I keep telling my wife, I'm like, it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I'm like, our kids aren't really going to have to go to college. They're going to get a master's in business, with us being their parents at the end of the day. Yeah, so it says join Gorilla Desk today, and it shows like a Gorilla Desk emblem. Again, that's in the link tree. If you guys are looking to try out Gorilla Desk. But John, as well, speaking of pest control and you being, what was it, a electrical engineer. The only thing is, do you have pest control business experience or do you have, I forget, each state is different. I know in Texas, you need to have at least 2 years of like business experience, if that makes sense, or not business experience, 2 years of pest control experience, get your certified applicator license, all that type of stuff. So just from making sure that you're going to have everything you need, definitely depending on what state you live in, pull up your Department of Agriculture. How's it going? Scuda, been in Pest for 10 years in Atlanta. Wanted to know what is the best way to start if you only have 7 grand and the do the year of the trucks matter? No, so and if you haven't seen my video, I posted maybe at least one or two videos at my house, or at my house where I started my company, of course, out of our house. And literally, I cashed out a 401k that had like $4,000 in it or something like that. And then I sold a car that I had that had a few $1,000s of equity in it. And it was about the amount of money that you're talking about. It might have been a little bit more, but nothing. I mean, we're talking 7 to 10 grand roughly. And we put what, 1 to 2 thousand down on my truck that I still have today that we're trying to sell, but that we do have today. And that was a 2015 Colorado. Now, you don't have to have some, I mean, I know guys that are, they've been in business for a while and they're still driving around like a '08, '05 even. Like, I mean, now obviously you want it to be presentable, but the year of the truck, I don't think it matters at all. As long as it's clean, not a rust bucket, you can label it. You want to be presentable, right? But I mean, I even know my Terminex, which is a big company, right? The biggest pest control company. Well, I guess Rent-A-Kill now, the biggest pest control company, and they still even have a couple of like older Ford Rangers that are stick shifts around here. That they use them primarily as like backup trucks, but I mean, if they're driving that around, then like I said, it's all about how presentable is it, if that makes sense. Awesome. Let's see. Awesome. Yeah, I'm running everything like you, just me at the moment. That's awesome. How's it going, Jack Dory? Falling asleep on us? Must have found the wrong live stream. Um, I was using Square. Same. That was look, man. You are doing the same thing that I was doing. Yeah, we use Square, and Square appointments are first probably 3 to 4 weeks in business. And literally, I think I had 11 customers on my schedule, and I was like, this is such a pain in the ass. I can't imagine if I got to the point where I had 11 customers per day that I'm trying to schedule. So from then on, I went with Gorilla Desk. We're talking, like I said, about 3 weeks into business, made that move, and the rest has been history. So Joseph said, only at my house, I'm in Alabama. So yeah, I would pull up your Alabama Department of Agriculture website and see what the requirements are to start your pest control business because, like I said, one, you definitely don't want to get caught by them doing anything the wrong way. Two, if it's going to be a 1 to 2 year process, you would ideally like to get whatever you need to do started as soon as possible. Uh, I had the same problem with the Chevy truck, just got rid of it this week. Yeah, man, that thing is such a pain in the ass. Like, I'm hoping ideally that we could get at least 11 to 12 grand out of it. We got it listed right now, I believe, for like 13.5 on Facebook Marketplace. It's gotten a couple messages, but nothing awfully serious. But yeah, I mean, whoever gets, I even told my wife, like, if it wasn't for, everything we got going on, I would keep that truck because it comes with a 36,000 mile warranty on that entire transmission. So it's like, that's a no-brainer. But that's why I'm pretty firm on my price with it because it's like, you're getting a good truck. Like, I promise you, you're getting a good truck. Or at least good enough for the next 36,000 miles. Work at Rent-A-Kill. I'm sorry to hear that. No, I mean, Rent-A-Kill, from what I hear, I mean, because they bought out Terminex, they tend to be decent, but of course, Puma Pros. What's the pest control industry standard on cancellation percentage for a year? Moxie Rep 20% for door to door. Another company 6. Another one. I'll tell you this: my cancel percentage is like very low. Been a while since I've broken it down in terms of percentages. I've had, surprisingly enough, the most cancels this month than ever before, which is kind of not scary, but strange just because it's all been for the same thing, layoffs. I've heard the word layoffs more in the last month than I've heard in the last 4 or 5 years, going back to even COVID, like more than even the COVID years. Um, we know how it is out here with this current economy, and I won't go into it too far, other than to say elections have consequences at the end of the day. But yeah. To answer your question, in terms of percentage, when I was at Terminex, the goal was less than 3%. Was less than anything less than 3% a month. They would stay off of our ass. So you're talking what 3%. I mean, shoot, I guess they were looking upwards of about 24 to 30%, which is high as shit. But there were a lot of months even at Terminex where like I would have like a 1% cancel rate, which is like 12% a year. My company personally, we're probably, if I were to guesstimate after this month, which like I said has been the worst month, which I say is my worst month, we've only lost like 3 customers. Um, in terms of a cancel percentage, probably looking around 3%. But again, the bigger you get, usually those percentages just naturally kind of, you have the good old human factor, right? Just trying to get more commercial account before I start any advice on getting those accounts. I actually, man, oh yeah, that's actually going to be in tomorrow's video as well. We talked a lot about, I was like, I feel like I just talked a lot about commercial, and that's because the video I recorded yesterday that's going to go up hopefully tomorrow or Thursday at the latest. We talk a lot about commercial. The main thing is knock some socks off with a couple. With the moment you get a call, which doesn't take very long, from my experience, once you get an opportunity with a couple, knock their socks off, and the word will spread like wildfire about you, and your phone will start ringing more and more and more as that word of mouth spreads about your business. It sounds old fashioned, but sometimes old fashioned is the best way. And with commercial, that's my experience. How's it going, Mackenzie? How's it going? How are you? Pretty good, hopefully. Could you say the software again? Gorilla Desk. Yeah. Gorilla Desk is the software that we use. Like I said, there's a link in my link tree down below. If you click where it says my link tree, I believe it's the second one that says join Gorilla Desk today. You'll get 2 free weeks through that link of the pro version, and the pro version is what we've been using forever. I think you guys will definitely like that if you haven't already tried them out. Is that bullshit? I've been talking about Rent-A-Kill. Whenever I said I heard Rent-A-Kill isn't too bad. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I hear very mixed reviews. I'll say that. Like, it's very mixed. Is most of your customers homeowners or commercial? Most of mine are homeowners. I would say only about maybe 10% at the most, at the very most, probably 5 to 10% are commercial accounts. The rest are residential, which is how I prefer it personally. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't try to avoid commercial accounts or anything like that, but um, I prefer the residential, at least while I'm the one running a majority of the stops. Now, once we start hiring some technicians, we'll start, of course, putting pedal to the metal and trying to get commercial work as well. Because, like I said, I mean, my goal is to, reach at least $10 million in sales, and we want to reach an evaluation. And I say at least is the key word, and we want to reach an evaluation of $50 to $100 million before we exit. Assuming we exit at all. Who knows? Sometimes you build something that big and you never want to sell it because, why'd you want to sell something like that? Like, one good saying I always hear from business owners and mega successful like investors is if something is worth buying, like a business, for example, if something's worth buying, then it's not worth selling. And that quote has really stuck with me since I started my business. Let's see. Thank you for answering my question. Oh yeah, no, not a problem at all. This is all I could find. Once appropriate exams have been passed, one must apply for certification through this office if an applicator plans to start a business in the state of Alabama. I would just call them up. Let's see. A license will also be required. Professional. Yeah, I would call them up just to be on the safe side. Call them up during their business hours and just say, hey, I'm looking to start a pest control business. The website is kind of gray about what I need to do. Is there any type of OJT or job experience needed? Because, like I said, here in Texas, for example, you have to be an apprentice for minimum 6 months before you can become a technician. And then you have to have your technician's license for a whole year before you can become a certified applicant, or maybe it's 6 months for that one too. Either way, it ends up being about 1 to 2 years before you can become a certified applicator, unless if you have a degree in like entomology or some type of biology degree, that is sufficient for them as well. Do you do one-on-one? Because I'm a month away. You're getting close then. I do. I have been I'm not going to lie, I've been very busy. There's been one or two of you all who, and now maybe three, who have been we've been trying to link our schedules up to do some one-on-ones. I believe in my LinkTree as well, where it says Pest Control Business Services with Griffin. You can like either submit a form there, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah. Yeah. So if you click on that button there, it'll take you to the homepage of my website, which is just, griffinbthomas.com. And there's a form there on that webpage you can fill out. It's just, your first and last name, phone number, email. And then it'll say, do you want a pest control business consultation? You would just click, yes on that. There's other things that it'll ask about, like, do you need a website build or anything like that? And then, you can write in there or not write in there. There's a calendar on there where you'll select, what days will generally work best for you. Do you want 15-minute, 30-minute, 60-minute, that kind of thing? And then you can submit it. Or you can, reach out via email as well. Some people have opted to do that, as well. Again, I always stress you don't need that, because I know a lot of people get turned off whenever I even remotely bring that up. You don't need that if you follow everything that I talk about on this channel, but some people like just that personal one-on-one, hey, this is where I'm at right now. What do you think I should do, like, tomorrow for the next month, whatever the case may be. Like, they want that roadmap essentially, step by step. So yeah, that is also, like I said, in my LinkTree as well. A license will, okay, yeah, we read that. Griffin, is the service agreement necessary, or is cash remitted on service and work order fine? Service agreement for pest control, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, tropical fruit loops. It's necessary from the standpoint of if you're looking to sell your company long term. For whatever reason, these companies that buy out other companies, they want to see some type of actual documentation to show that this is a real account, even though you may have all these receipts to show that, hey, I was out here for like the last 3 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be. They want to see some form of documentation that, hey, this customer has agreed that we're coming out to do this service, this, frequency, this kind of thing. So if you're looking to possibly exit, which I even suggest, if you think right now, hell no, I'm never going to sell out, this and that and the other, still build your business as if you are, just because, you never know what's going to happen, right? You never know what's going to happen. So, my grandfather's a prime example. He did not build his business whatsoever to sell. Now he's in a pinch where he's kind of needing to sell it, but it's not really worth anything. And he's, lost some relationships to a certain degree with family members even because of it. Not going to go into that. That's personal matters. But my whole point on that is just from watching it firsthand. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor. Think of it as life insurance, if nothing else. It's something that you're like, man, I ain't ever gonna need that shit. Like, why would we ever need that? And then, bam, you get hit by a fucking bus, right? You want to build it to be prepared, if nothing else. So go ahead. It doesn't take hardly any time whatsoever. If you do Gorilla Desk, for example, which again, link for all that is in the link tree below. If you use Gorilla Desk, it takes like 2 minutes to fill out a service agreement. Super easy, all on your phone or laptop or iPad, whatever you may use, and it makes it super easy. Yeah, that's like me. Awesome. Doesn't commercial help in the slow season? Yeah, commercial does help because of course, they a lot of times, especially in this, um, the Dallas, Texas area, for example, a lot of cities like municipalities, they're requiring pest control, rodent control type of services to even stay in business, to operate. So, they're not really going to cancel you, assuming that, you're doing your job right. Um, but yeah, no, it can be difficult to get them, but the main thing is if you focus on your, um, one, like I said, your reputation with the first couple of them, and two, your search engine optimization around search terms that are used for, commercial pest control service, then, over time you will, and especially where's your location too, because location is everything. A lot of my commercial business that I get is because they've seen my Google business profile. So you got to think, if you're way out in BFE, not probably going to get a lot of commercial accounts. But if you're in a suburb or better yet, in a downtown or something of that nature around a lot of businesses, you're going to be a lot more likely to get that commercial work, if that makes sense. Yep, I'll give them a call. Good idea. Thank you. Yeah, most definitely. I've had a hell of I have had a hell of enough time trying to get these guys to sign my service agreement. The Gorilla Desk contract scares me. So don't phrase it as a contract. What I always do is I tell people this isn't a contract. This is just a service agreement, and I just phrase it like the state, prefers it. I'm like the state prefers that we have people sign this document that just says you agree that we're allowed to put pesticides around your home. It shows here all of the bugs that you're covered under. It's not a contract or anything. You'll even see in the fine print that, as long as you let us know within 30 days of cancellation, we'll get it canceled out for you. Within 30 days of your service, we'll get it canceled out for you. It's not tying you down, blah, 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 blah. It's all about how you phrase it. I find as long as you phrase it the right way, I wouldn't say the last time I've had an issue with someone signing it was at least a year and a half to 2.5 years ago. It's been a long time since I've had someone like refuse. They didn't even refuse. They were just like they wanted clarification, like, but this isn't a contract, right? And I'm like, no, 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 it's not tying you down or anything. We're month to month as long as you let us know. And then they're like, okay, no problem. Then they sign it right there. That's another thing. I find if you have them sign it right there on your phone in person, your odds of them signing it go up through the roof because people naturally don't like confrontation. So if you're right there and like, hey, this is what this is, sign right here, like people just don't like confrontation. So, hopefully that'll help you, try that out, put your own little twist on it, whatever the case may be. But that's what we've done and it's helped out big time. What kind of insurance should you carry for residential and commercial? So we use for our pest control business insurance, we use Lipka. Lipka, we've been using them for 2 years now. Depending on what our price is going to be this upcoming year, we may be switching back to a local company here in Texas. Downside with them is they only service the state of Texas, but they do have some pretty good prices as well. But Litka is kind of like one of Markle has another one I know people use. Markle and Litka, those are the two that are kind of like national companies that pretty much serve every area as far as I know. And then of course, your commercial auto insurance. Usually it's pretty easy to get that. Whenever you're signing up your insurance for your automobile, it'll ask you, is this for personal or business? You just hit business, it'll ask you how many miles per year, this and that and the other. And, you get your quote that way as well for that. And that's all you really need. And your state will have minimums too. That's the other thing. These insurance companies, they won't give you less than what your state requires. If anything, they're going to try to sell you on more. That way they get more money out of you, right? But yeah, so usually there's no concerns there. Did you set up your business website or pay someone to do it? So to set up our preferred pest management website, I had Gorilla Desk create the theme for us. They were actually like managing it, the back end of it for us, hosting it and all that good stuff. But I took that over, I want to say about a year ago now. And then, well, I took it over for the most part about a year ago. And then back in like March, April of this year, I took it over from the hosting side as well. So anything you see practically on my website outside of the header is all made by me. I can still edit some things in there, but the overall theme of the website, was originally created by Gorilla Desk, but I have pretty much it's all me practically, if that makes sense. Like they kind of started it and then I took it and just kind of made my own version out of it, if that makes sense. It's weird when it comes to like WordPress websites because like you have your theme and then you can totally customize it from there. Let's see. I called it a love agreement. I called it a love agreement instead of a service agreement. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's actually not bad. Once I sign up for Gorilla Desk, I am getting everyone to sign. I never thought about people looking the value of the business that way. Yeah, yeah, no, me either at first. I want to say my first 3 to 6 months, I wasn't really thinking about it, and then I was listening to an old cat. Oh my gosh, what's the name of that podcast? Pestcontrolmarketing.com or something like that. Let me look them up here really quick because it's a good. I don't even know if they post anymore on their podcast, but it is a good podcast. Um, Speaking of podcasts, we do have a podcast as well that is also in our LinkTree. I'm trying to post on there once a week, once every 2 weeks at the minimum for you guys. It's called Pest Control Marketing Podcast. The guy that runs it, his name's Hal Coleman, and he's been in the game so they just posted August 27th, so about a month ago. So they do post still, just not very often. The one before that was June 25th or June 5th. So it looks like they post roughly every month or so, April, May, June. They didn't in July, but then they did in August. So roughly every month they're posting a podcast. But he was the one that actually mentioned, like, this is how you set up your business to sell. And even if you don't plan on selling, this is why you should still do it. And I was just like, man, I didn't even like, there's a lot of good information in there. I haven't listened to very many of their podcasts in a while, but like I said, if you haven't, like I said, their podcast is called Pest Control Marketing Podcast. You'll know that you're on the right podcast immediately because there's an older guy with like grayish white hair. Like I said, he's been in the game for a long time, and has some amazing stories too about like how he grew his pest control company back in the day. So even has an old school vibe to it. Like he has an old school little jingle at the beginning of the podcast. It's pretty cool. Do the insurance you explain cover customers' property damage? You can. Yeah, you can do that as well. Or yeah, you said I didn't read your whole comment there. If you break a sprinkler, yeah, so it'll cover like all of your general liability stuff, and then you can even get additional coverages for like say you want to offer warranty on termite damages. Do not suggest it, by the way. I don't even do that myself. But if you wanted to, you could even get that additional coverage if you want to. But yeah, your standard general liability insurance will cover things of that nature. You'll want to read the fine print when it comes to like negligence and things of that nature. But yeah, no, thankfully, I haven't had to use my insurance at all. Knock on wood, especially as bad of a month as I've had in terms of luck lately. But I haven't had to use our insurance or anything like that. But I know that, it covers, that type of stuff. For termites, how do you deal with crawl spaces? Thank God I don't deal with crawl spaces. So in my area, all the homes that have been being built the last like 20 years down here have been, slab foundations. I apologize, but I've been out of a bottle of water for, God, like 30, 40 minutes now. I'm going to get a bottle of water right out here, and I'll be right back. All right. Whew, sorry about that. So, but yeah, we have mostly slab foundations down here anymore. There are some crawl spaces, and they're so uncommon down here that most customers that have them, when they start the phone call, they'll ask right off the top, do you all treat crawl space foundations? Because they know 90% of companies don't, and we are one of them. We do not. Now, I will put Trelona. It's like, say I don't really, because I have one customer here in Rowlett. They're not on our termite prevention yet, but I got a feeling they're going to be. And I will do as thorough of an inspection as I can. I'm not getting under the crawl space though, but I will put Trelona around it as prevention and check it yearly, all that good stuff. And, heaven forbid they get termites, I will do whatever I have to do to get that done ultimately in terms of getting rid of the termites. But I pretty much don't deal with them. So let's see. Why do you cover? I don't cover termite damage. Um, that's what I was saying. I don't cover termite damage. I will do a retreatment warranty. Like on our contracts, it says retreatment only, and there's a bunch of legal jargon in there about that, but it's not, we don't cover any termite damage. I was just saying to your point about insurance, you can have that as like an additional on your premium in terms of like on your plan, if that makes sense. Like you can warranty it if you want to, but I don't. Let's see. For termites, they do crawl spaces. I've seen that a trench should be dug inside and outside. But yes, you are right about that. Yeah, so they have these. I don't even have one on me right now, but they have like a small. It's a pickaxe, like a normal pickaxe, but like a handheld pickaxe. And yeah, it'd be a giant pain in the ass. Now, the only way that you have to do that, those are like the extreme examples where, they have gone up that foundation wall, right? Say you have, I guess I could even pull out the old whiteboard that we haven't pulled out in a while. My daughter was drawing all over, or no, she didn't actually. She actually erased her stuff. This is all mine. This was from our last video, as a matter of fact. I'm going to draw just an example here that you've probably seen if you've looked in the book or anything like that recently. So, say you have, we'll just do a basic, make sure I have enough room here. We're just going to start out with a basic, square foundation, right? And, of course, this is your outside, this is your inside. You're probably going to have a couple of, we're just going to draw like some random piers, nothing crazy. This is just for an example at the end of the day. Um, so say the termites just happen to hit right here. Then of course, in that example, you're going to need to treat this inside and outside. That sucks, unfortunately. Now, I don't see that happen too often. Now, of course, again, we don't deal with like any of these type of foundations, but well, what I have dealt with at one point was them going up one of these piers on what's called a pier and beam foundation. They would hit like right here and go up and hit the wood flooring. And in that case, what you're doing is you're going to treat around that entire pier. And what I even did for extra measures is I treated around this pier and I treated around this pier and I even treated around this, the pretty much what I did was I like made a star essentially, something like this. Like this was the pier that was hit. I made sure to hit this pier. What was it? Or not a star. Or yeah, it was a star because you have your piers going this way. You have your piers that are going to be coming down something like this way, and then of course the piers that were right here. So we made sure to hit this pier, this pier, this pier, this pier, any pier that was surrounding, that area. We made sure to hit it. But that was the one and only termite job that I did on a pier and beam foundation, and I was like, fuck this. I never do it. And I priced it high because I didn't want to do it to begin with. I priced it stupid high. It was just a spot treatment, very small area. I mean, I charged them like 1,300. I mean, we're talking just, even I was like, that's not a, I told them, I was like, this isn't a good price. You could probably get this cheaper. And they were like, yeah, but you seem honest. I was like, but yeah, I'm honest. I'm honestly telling you, like, this is not a good price. Like, I would suggest calling somebody else. Like, I don't want to do it, but they like me. They signed up for pest control for like a year and a half, and then they couldn't afford it anymore. But long story short, that was when I was like, not doing that like anymore, unless if I have to. But yeah, hopefully that kind of makes sense. Let's see. So you only do it if you see traces, tunnels inside. Yeah, I mean there would have to be some type of evidence there, right? Otherwise, the only thing that I'm going to do is set Trelona stations around the foundation. I would probably put them closer. Trelona, BASIF says you can put them every 15 to 20 feet. I'd probably put them about every 12 to 15. I want to be better safe than sorry on those type of homes. But yeah, assuming you don't have that current termite activity, then Trelona bait stations will do just fine for you. You include wildlife. Yeah, we do wildlife. We're actually doing an exclusion this weekend, and I just quoted one this morning, as a matter of fact. Actually, once we get off the stream, I need to send him his quote. I actually forgot about that. But yes, we do offer the wildlife side of it as well. How's it going, South Country Home Inspections? What's up? What's your current thoughts on local services? I'm assuming you're talking about Google local services. Just got verified. Yep, that must be Google local services. Man, I hate getting an eyelash in my eye. I just got verified. About to start at 150 a week. If I remember correctly, you spent $1,000 a month, right? What would you recommend? So when it comes to the Google local services, setting your budget, in all honesty, it doesn't really matter what you set that at. I would set it high. I would set it at 1,000 a week. Now, hear me out. I know you're probably like, what the fuck? I don't have 1,000 a week or whatever the case may be. Hear me out. You're more than likely not going to hit $1,000 a week. One, Google local services has been getting crowded lately. Now, since you're new and being verified, being new on the platform, they're going to push you up towards the top, and you're probably going to get the best rates that you're going to see over the next few months. So I would take advantage of that. If you're spending that $1,000 a week on the Google local service ads, you're probably getting at least 20 leads a week, roughly, probably around 20 leads a week. I will say, do not turn the message option on. Just do it where all they can do is call you. Do not allow them to send a message, because if they're going to send a message, they're going to be hitting every single company, and it's going to be a waste of your ad dollars. But you're going to be paying, probably depending on your market and the fact that you're new on the platform, you're going to be paying probably around, on the lowest ends, $20. On the highest end, probably about $50 per call. So, assuming your closing rate, we'll just say is 50%, which is relatively low, but let's just say 50%, you get 20 calls, you close 10 of them. Let's say your average contract value is, say you're giving them a good intro rate. We'll just say some cheap price, like $400. That's $100 a service, right? $400 a year. That $1,000, assuming, what are we assuming there? 20 calls. We're assuming $50 per call. That $1,000 just turned into, let's see, 10 times 400, $4,000. So, of course, that's before your chemical costs and this and that. So you're probably looking at a net of, we'll call it 2,000 roughly. Not bad, in my opinion. And that's why I loved it early on. Plus, that's just the first year. You're not including year over year over year of them staying a customer, price increases, this and that and the other. We have so many customers from Google Local Services who are still customers today that pay us 100, 125, 185, 40. We have so many customers that pay us probably $3,000 a month of just recurring revenue, at the minimum $3,000 a month in recurring revenue. Do wildlife bring a bulk of profit to the? I love the wildlife side. It can be very, very frustrating when it comes to exclusion work. You definitely want to create an agreement, like a service agreement for your rodent and wildlife, specifically the exclusion work, because a lot of people think that, just because you do what you do means that they're just magically never, ever, ever going to have the possibility of seeing a rodent again. And a lot of times that can be true, but sometimes there's just stuff that's out of your control. Like if a garage door is leaning in and you can stick your whole freaking hand through the garage door, the top of it, because it needs to be reset or replaced altogether. Like there's things that are out of your control. So it can be very frustrating sometimes, but in terms of profitability, if you're doing it yourself, very profitable. If you're subcontracting it out, still pretty damn profitable. About a, depending on your lead costs, about a, let's see, just doing rough math here, about a 60 to 65% ROI in terms of return on investment after you pay for the product, pay for, the subcontractor, pay for the lead, etc. And then, of course, if you have an hourly employee or something, your profit is going to go up a little bit because you're not paying nearly as much. Like we pay our guy anywhere between $250 to $500 per job. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. I call the exclusion jobs and termite jobs. I call those the bill payers. Like when those payments come through, I usually just get bills paid, and then any of my additional recurring monthly income or quarterly or monthly, yearly, etc., one-time services, things like that, that's what I use to actually feed the beast, feed the business, if that makes sense, whenever we can. Let's see. Not bad at all. Yes, having them as ongoing customers will eventually pay off. Yes. And I could do, which I probably will since I'm already on here an hour and a half. I could go on a full rant, not a rant, but kind of a rant about people over analyzing cost per acquisition. So don't get me wrong. When you're first starting your business, getting free leads, as I like to call them, free customers, is the best thing in the world, right? When you're just doing the simple stuff like posting on Facebook, posting in groups, posting on your Google business profile, getting reviews, all that type of stuff, and you notice those free calls start coming in from your Google business profile, Facebook, etc., that helps, right? You cannot beat sweat equity acquisitions at the end of the day. But whenever you're starting to take that leap in terms of paying for customers, you're paying for the leads, paying to acquire a customer, do not overanalyze your cost per lead. Do not even overanalyze your cost per acquisition, because cost per lead, I don't even give a shit about anymore. I pay attention to cost per acquisition only, and where I draw the line is usually about 1 year's worth of sales in terms of, you know, say we're running a deal where the customer pays for the year, it's going to be, we'll just go with that $400 example that we, talk about, because that's what a lot of times the number comes out to is like $400 for the whole year. I draw the line at $400 for the customer acquisition. Now, a lot of people would be like, why the fuck would you do that? You're literally losing money your first year. And yeah, you are. You are breaking even on doing the actual service in terms of, the cost per year. You're breaking even right there. And then you're paying chemical costs, your wear and tear on your vehicle, your gas. If you have a technician, paying the technician. Like, yes, you're going to be losing probably a couple $100 that first year. But that first year, it's your job as the company, your job as the owner, because it all starts at the top and works its way down. It's your job to knock that customer socks off to make sure that they renew year over year over year. Now, can you control things like people moving, people being laid off, etc.? No. Laid off and stuff, though, yes, you can control that. Why? You can do a price decrease, you can do a pause. Pausing usually saves about 50 to 60% of those, layoffs. I have one that's literally right around the corner from my house. She is signed up on $110 a month. She's pausing until November. She hasn't even been laid off yet, but they mentioned that there's going to be mass layoffs. And I was cool with her. I was like, yeah, you are on this plan. Technically, I need to come rip up the termite stations. Do you think we could just pause and, revisit it in a month or two? Yes, that's totally fine. Boom, move on. Different topic for a different day. Point being, it's your job as the company to knock that customer socks off, to believe that you are the best pest control company that they have ever had, and that they would be stupid to try to use another company. And again, you'll be surprised by how many of them year over year over year over year will continue to stay, and not just that, refer you to other people. So again, it starts with a lead, starts with the lead magnet, starts with a lead, and then from there, knocking their socks off, and then from there, it's just a domino effect of profit from there. So do not overanalyze. I know. It can be very, very easy and difficult, or it can be very easy to complain and very difficult to not pay attention to a lot of the noise that we see online, where we see people talking about how they're only paying like $10 per customer acquisition, $50 per customer acquisition, whatever the case may be. Don't focus on that so much. Focus on knocking that customer socks off to the point that they're going to leave you a review, refer you to their neighbors or friends, family, whatever the case may be. And from there, it's going to work itself out in terms of the profit side of things. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't want to, like I said, you need to have your line in the sand. Say you're doing Facebook ads or Google ads, whatever the case may be, and you're noticing, God damn, like we are literally spending $500 or $1,000, like something just astronomical for your customer acquisition. Obviously, something's not working, right? I'm not saying be negligent, be lazy with your advertising, that kind of thing. I'm just saying if you have a bad week or have a bad month, like don't overanalyze it. Don't go and make a bunch of changes, because you could mess some stuff up. And you should just look at it more so like month over month, quarter over quarter, and make adjustments as you need to from there. But a lot of people, including myself, because like I said, I know it can be very hard to get caught up in all that stuff, will overanalyze. It's almost like a competition, like who can get the lowest CPA. And it's like, fuck the CPA. What is your average customer life expectancy in terms of like what is the average, not life expectancy in terms of when are they going to die, like what is their average expectancy of a customer? because what's the purpose? The companies that focus the most on the CPA, they got everything backwards. They're so focused on going out and gaining customers because they're not focusing enough on keeping the customers that they currently have. Like, does that make sense? Like, the customers that you're bringing in, that's just supposed to be like icing on the cake. That's just building the business. You shouldn't be having to constantly replace customers, if that makes sense. So, get off that little soapbox there. Let's see. Have you tried to get any outdoor storage units? Seems like you could just drive through the rows if you had. Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. Joseph, I had a company not too far from me. It was oh my gosh, I forget the name of them. One of the big brands. They're franchises. I didn't know that apparently. Um, they reached out for a quote for pest and rodent control. Like a lot of those big box chains, they are looking for the cheapest bid at the end of the day, which I never am. I'm always upfront about not being the cheapest company. I pride ourselves on that, as a matter of fact. I always say, if you're, this is literally what I'll tell some people. If I get a bad vibe from them, I'll be like, look, if you're looking for the best, you called the best, but if you're looking for the cheapest, you got the wrong company. Just being upfront with you. Um, but yeah, I haven't got one. I haven't sold one yet, but I have quoted one or two of them. One was a smaller one. The other one was pretty big. Like, it was massive. It was what, 4 or 5 story? No, 6 stories in the air, like a big, massive. It might have been a cube. Oh my gosh, what is that called? Is it just called cube storage or something like that? Let me pull it up. Or Cube Mart, Cube Smart, Cube Smart. That's what it was. It was a Cube Smart, I believe. When you started the business, was overhead? Oh, no, overhead wasn't high at all. You're just trying to pay yourself, right? Um, in terms of chemical costs, I stuck with kind of what I knew, right? I didn't, that's where my knowledge, in all honesty, has grown the most in this industry, is the chemical side. When I first hopped out here, I just used what I knew. And now it probably would have saved me a lot of money had I done the research that I've done now over the last couple of years. But it wasn't bad or anything. Like, I went with Niban, which isn't too bad. I bought a 40-pound box that lasted me like 3 months when I first got started because, of course, no customers, right? That was like, at the time, $80. I think it's like 90, 95 now. I got a little bottle of Tempered, a little bottle of Taurus. What else? Alpine WSG works great for like bed bugs and German roaches and even ants too. Um, what else? Trying to think. All I know was all in all, I still had enough money to fall back on and advertise a little bit for the first month or two. And thankfully, month 2 and month 3 especially, the wheels on Google Local Services just started boom, 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 just coming in. The leads did. How's it going? Any any honorable? Are you married? I'm assuming you're talking about married. Maybe my name's not Mary, if that's what you're asking. But if you're saying, are you married? Yes, I am. Been married since what, 2021, just over 2 years. Been with my wife for what? How long have we been together now? Almost 7 years? No, almost 6 years. 6 years in October, as a matter of fact, or the end of October. Yep, with 2 little ones. Let's see. Can you say what you quoted? Oh man, that's a good question. Let me see if I actually have that on Gorilla Desk here. Try to take a look. Cube. It was Cube Smart. There we go. What did I quote them? I'm surprised I still have this in here. I should call them up, as a matter of fact. It was January of this year was when I quoted them. Let's see. I quoted them, I think this was for the year. Yeah, this was for the year. Or no. Yes, this was for the year. So I quoted them for the entire year, $4,995. That was going to include 58 rodent bait stations total. Um, let me see. I'm just reading over real quick what it was gonna include. I also said we could break this down into monthly payments, which would be $450.60 each month the first year, which was gonna drop down. It was gonna drop down from there down to $4,400 per year going forward. So it was gonna drop about $600 after the first year. Which looking back on it, in all honesty, I probably should have just priced it at $4,400 the first year. May have had a better chance of, getting it. Who knows? It's hard to say. Like I said, maybe I'll hit them up and, that's the other thing I like about Gorilla Desk. You can pull up their account overall and see that, they opened either the invoice, the email, the estimate, whatever the case may be. You can see that they actually opened it when they opened it. Like it says right here, 5:59 p.m. on January 6, 23, estimate was opened. So it's cool to see that because, sometimes people will try to be like, oh, I didn't get it. And then you can pull it up and be like, says you opened it, but okay, I'll go ahead and send that over again. Usually that's a sign that, they're not going to go with you if they say they didn't get it and it says opened. But, if nothing else, it gives you some more insight on, okay, they opened it, but they're kind of ghosting us. Maybe we need to attack this from a different angle, you know, whatever the case may be. I believe that was going to be monthly. I see where you said was that monthly or quarterly. I believe that was monthly. That's what I was trying to find here. Um, let's see. The quote above is for total price of the first year, which includes the initial setup and maintenance of all rodent stations on each floor buildings as well as around the perimeter and exterior. Um, okay, here we go. We will come out 2 weeks after the initial setup because they were dealing with a rodent issue. Like they weren't just doing it for preventative reasons. They had a company doing it and they had issues. And I was like, well, you would think since you went with a cheap company the first time, you probably don't want to go with a cheap company the second time. But apparently I was wrong. We will come out after 2 weeks after the initial station check. Once it is determined that the rodent population is under control, we will continue maintenance on an every 4 week basis on all stations throughout the year. So it wasn't even monthly, it was every 4 weeks, which sounds like monthly, but you're not factoring in that there are 52 weeks in a year, which I believe comes out to 13. Let's see. Yeah, 13, quote unquote services per year is what they were actually going to get, not including the fact that I told them in this, quote, we will come out every 2 weeks if we have to make sure this issue gets taken care of. And once the issue is taken care of, regardless how many times we have to come out, the price wasn't going to go up. I even said in there, there's no hidden fees for, if we have to come out more than we expected. I thought I was very generous overall with this quote. Like I said, I would have to like re-examine, the math because it's been almost a year since I quoted this. Um, Maybe re-examine the math here, and maybe I should have just said 4,400. And going back to our little rant that we had a minute ago about, just don't even worry about that first year. Focus on year over year over year going forward. It's hard to say. That's the thing is you're always learning out here. You're always analyzing. You know what's going good, what's not going good. Like I always talk about on this channel. That's the whole point of this channel is I tell you guys, what's working for us, what's not working for us, what my thought process is. You know, a lot of it is live. As a matter of fact, like what we're doing right now. Like I'm literally going over just kind of my thought process of what I'm thinking about right now about this quote because I'm not gonna lie, anytime I don't get a commercial account, it kind of it puts a little chip on my shoulder. I'm like, man, like not fuck you, but like I'm like, man, like you're missing out. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like fuck you towards them for not going with me, but I'm just like, man, like you're missing out. Like you're missing out on the best service. Like but at the same time, I have to go back in there and with a clear mind, without the fuck you attitude and everything, go in there and just go, okay, like what didn't they like? Like, what could they have liked in here? Like, think about it from their perspective. Obviously, they're looking for kind of a cheap price. From there, you got to get past that. You got to find out, how can I, if you're in our shoes where, um, if you're in our shoes where we know for a fact we are never going to be the cheapest company, you have to figure out, okay, how can I add the value in this quote to where when someone sees this quote, they're going to be like, man, I know this isn't the cheapest, but damn, I want to work with this company, right? Like that, that's what you really have to focus on when you're a company like us, where you know for a fact you're not going to be targeting. It's all about knowing that target audience, if that makes sense. So, same thing with your ads. Don't, whatever you do, whenever you create a Google ad, a Facebook ad, don't just do those stupid ads where, it pinpoints your address and it's like 10-mile radius. Like, don't do that. Like, that is the quickest way to burn money on your Facebook campaigns, Google campaigns, all that. Make sure that you know exactly who your target customer is, who you're targeting in terms of who you want to call you and who you want to do business with, and hyper focus that targeting. Like I talk about on this channel, specifically in our Google Ads series, your cost per click and cost per lead is going to be more, but your quality of lead is going to be so much higher. Um, it's just, it is what it is. Great insight. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, no, awesome. Always glad to help. So, how would it work if they sign up for $4,500 a year, paid monthly, but canceled after 6 months? So we would just retrieve our bait stations at that point. Like I'm not. That's the thing. Is like I'm not super like worried about Hey, you're locked in for years. So the only way they're locked in for years if they pay for the year. Now we do not have it, especially with commercial accounts. Like they do not cancel with us. And even residential, like we do not get customers that they cancel with us in terms of usually our average customer, life expectancy in terms of how long they're expected to be a customer with us is, if I'm, again, this is something I'd have to actually take a look at the analytics and stuff on to have an exact, you know, dates or whatever, but the average is definitely upwards of 18 to 24 months. Like most of my customers have been customers for at least 1 to 2 years. Some of them have literally been day one customers that they're coming up on 3 years already. So I just don't really deal with that. Now, like I said, when I do deal with it, I just deal with it for what it is. I'm like, I go get my stuff back, and that's that. It saves you the cost on future services. So it's not really a big deal. It's not as big of a deal as a lot of people think. Now, of course, if you start having a very high cancel rate, then you need to evaluate, what's going on within the company that's causing us to get so many cancels, right? Like we shouldn't be getting this many cancels. Let's see. How's it going, Freddie? Freddie, oh man, I'm gonna mess up your last name. I got a feeling. Freddie Quispe. Websites to help create service contracts. Thank you for all the info. Blessings. Yeah. So let's see. Just make sure I'm reading it right. Website to help create service. So we were talking about contracts a little bit ago as well. So we use, like I said, Gorilla Desk primarily for that. If you want to check them out, they're in my link tree down below. I believe it's the second link that says join Gorilla Desk today. If you use that link in the link tree, you'll get 2 weeks of their pro version for free. They have contracts in there for virtually every state, as far as I'm aware. Someone was mentioning that they don't have contracts for Canada. So if you're from Canada, I guess you might want to go with potentially field routes. Dare I say that? I'm not saying to go with field routes if you're in Canada. I have no experience with them outside of another company that I worked for years ago. I didn't like it, but if Gorilla Desk doesn't have stuff for Canada, then is what it is, unfortunately. But they do have a lot of contracts on there, and that's who we use for all that type of stuff. Okay, so they aren't really locked in. Um, yeah, I mean they're not really locked in. Like I said, I mean if they pay for the year, like there's no like refunds on getting your money back within that year or anything like that. So they're quote unquote locked in at that point. But yeah, if they're paying month to month, like it's not, you know, we're not really like locking them in per se. Because that's one thing I always stress to people in this industry is like the contracts. That's why it blew my mind that contracts are like of so much value to these bigger companies that buy companies out because the contracts are about as good as the paper they're written on, if we're being honest. Like they're the only contracts that really matter are your termite contracts, bedbug contracts, and occasionally, the contracts with some of your like apartment complexes and things like that. Um, but in terms of like general pests and rodent, that kind of thing, the contracts are. How's it going? Dill Pickle, that's a funny name. OMG, you're my teacher. Teacher for business, pest control business. Let's see. Freddie says sometimes that's the nature of the game for sure. Keys pay? I don't know what keys pay is. Joseph says, do you use QuickBooks Sync on Gorilla Desk? So I did. It was giving us some, this was like a year and a half ago or so, maybe even two now, was the last time we've had that hooked up. Um, it was giving us some issues with like duplicate tracking and things of that nature. So we don't, but I have it linked with my bank. So it's really not necessary to do that. It's something where it's something where, you know, I think it's a nice idea. And who knows, maybe it was user error in all honesty. I didn't have them walk me through that or anything. I took it upon myself, did it on my own on Gorilla Desk, but um, I found it to be much better just to link it with my bank account, my business bank account, and my business credit cards and just do everything that way. Um, yeah, I mean, the only way that I would see that being beneficial is if you're going to use QuickBooks for like their card processing and things like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about doing the whole syncing of, the Gorilla Desk and all that type of stuff. Oh, how you say my last name? Keys Pay. Keys Pay. Okay. Oh, I see that now. Yeah, QUI Keys Pay. Yeah, yeah. Sounds Spanish. Keys Pay. Pretty Keys Pay. That's a cool name. But yeah, yeah, no, like I said, that's who we use. Gorilla Desk is kind of like the good overall, like one-stop shop for, anything contract, scheduling, chemical tracking, um, all that type of stuff, at least from my experience. So, yeah, no, I hope you guys have, been enjoying the stream today. If you have, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button. It lets me know you guys like when we do these live streams and all that good stuff. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're new to the channel as well and you enjoyed today's stream or video, if you're seeing it once it goes from a stream to a video, make sure to subscribe below and hit the bell icon beside it. That way you won't miss any of the future videos or streams or anything like that we do on the channel. If you're wondering who I am, you're just tuning in because I see we've had some people hopping in, hopping out. If you're new to me and just wondering who I am, of course, my name's Griffin. Griffin Thomas. I'm the owner of the company here, Preferred Pest Management. And on this channel, I just kind of document, my overall entrepreneurial journey, as a business owner. I've been posting on YouTube for about 6, 7 years now, just different things that I do in terms of trying to just achieve financial freedom. And I started my pest control business, Preferred Pest Management, back in 2020 during the good old year of COVID, right? And like I said, just document everything that I do that works for me, that doesn't work for me. Like I said, I got something going on right now that I really, really, really want to tell you all about, but I just want to make sure, is it good or is it bad before I, spill the beans on that. So hopefully hopefully sooner than later, because it's all about lead generation is what this tool is supposed to do for us. So hopefully sooner than later, I can give you all some positive feedback is the goal. And because like I said, it's not cheap. It's 300, it's like 297 or something like that per month for this software that I just found. So crossing our fingers that it's good, and if it's good, I'll definitely see if maybe they can hook you all up. Some type of link, kind of like Gorilla Desk did with the 2 week free trial and all that stuff, and go from there with that. Let's see. How do you base your yearly contracts based on industry? How do you base your yearly contracts based on industry? Are you saying like kind of confused? Are you saying like compared to others in the industry, or like are you talking about like for commercial accounts, or like there's a couple ways I could be interpreting your question. Like comparing the price, or how do I base the price? Um, let's see, how do you base your yearly contracts based on industry? I'm assuming you're talking about commercial work with this question, but I might be wrong. You might be talking about like comparing it to other companies, which compared to other companies, I think ours is the best. Of course, I think ours is the best, but I think in terms of offering, the discount that we offer that first year, if you're willing to pay, the year up front, it almost makes our price, I wouldn't say the cheapest. In some cases, it is the cheapest, but in most cases, it's middle of the pack compared to, if you go with our monthly billing option, it's more towards the upper tier, if that makes sense. We're definitely not the most expensive. We should be, and we probably will be someday, but um, residential. Yeah, yeah. So I think I'm kind of answering what you're referring to then. Yeah, in terms of that, like what we do essentially, which I've kind of gone over a little bit. I'll have to end the stream soon because I think it's almost dinner time. But usually, for example, a lot of companies would just run a deal that says, like, I don't know, we'll just say like $89 your first service, and then, 149 each service after that, right? That's kind of the basic stuff that, some of the bigger companies will do. What we will do is for our quote unquote lead magnet, right, is we'll say, hey, we can one up that. You'll get your first service for free with us whenever you're signing up for the full year. What's your full year going to come out to for an average house, less than, 2,000 square feet or maybe 2,500, depending on how nice I'm feeling that day. That's going to come out to just 400 to 425 plus tax for the year, which if you break it down, 149 times 3 is what? It's just under 450, right? Was it 447 plus 89 equals what? 456, like 536, something like that. Oops. Like 536 or something like that for the whole year. So I am cheaper by about 125 bucks roughly on average for that first year. But what's going to get more leads? Free service, $89 service. The free service all day. No one's going to pass up on free shit, guys. Now, of course, some of you are probably like, well, you're not going to make as much money. Yes, we just went over that in my little rant about not worrying about the first year. As long as you're at the minimum, preferably breaking even that first year, you're going to knock their socks off. And after these customers are the one, by the way, this is only the deal for people that are paying for the entire year. So how we phrase it is free when you pay for the year and they still call. And then from there, the customers that are willing to pay this amount for the full year, They do not even care or notice, as a matter. Some do, but we just say, of course, inflation, this and that and the other. You're going to up that price going forward to 500 to 525 going forward. And that's assuming, of course, that you haven't upsold them on termite, mosquito, this and that and the other going forward. So after your first year, you're pretty much right up there with that guy. So yeah, I mean that's kind of how we base that, if that makes sense. How's it going, Justin Williams? Is having a spray rig for your truck absolutely necessary? No. My first month or two, or no, three, as a matter of fact, I didn't get a spray rig until about, yeah, it was about 2 or 3 months into business. I waited until I sold my first termite job. And I told them straight up that it's probably going to be about, like, for me, I was able to still do a quick turnaround because I have a rig company that they literally buy people's rigs, fix them up, and resell them and that kind of thing. It's pretty cool, actually. Shout out to Pesco Pumps in the Garland, Texas area. They're awesome people there. But I waited until we literally sold a termite job. I told them that it's going to be about a 1 week turnaround at the most. Went out there like 3 days later and got it taken care of. But for residential pest control, if you're going to do everything besides termite work, there's really no need. Like right now in my Nissan, because we're in the process of getting ready to switch our rig from our Colorado to the Nissan, more than likely. I've been using 3 5 gallon jugs, and I make sure that my backpack is filled up to start the day, and that gets me through on average roughly 10 to, I think I stretched it out to like 13 stops one day. So that's a route you can go. Would you recommend startup pest companies to create their own service contracts? I know Gorilla Desk offers built-in templates with their service, but what's your take on that? I'm considering creating my own because of how we sell our services to clients. I'm curious. But yeah, I mean, say like for example, like I've mentioned before, there's a couple things on the Gorilla Desk contracts that I want changed in the future, probably this winter, hopefully is the plan. I will actually pretty much copy and paste that into my own document and change some of the things that I want changed on there. Then I'll send it to Gorilla Desk, have them put it on their platform. It costs like $35 per form that you want to do that on, and then you'd be good to go. So yeah, I mean, you could create your own if you want to. I would suggest, at least since theirs has been all, legally done already, I would at least start out with theirs and then just make your edits where you see fit, if that makes sense. And like I said, that's something that I'm even going to do as well. hmm Yeah, you're spot on, Tropical Fruit Loops. The rig is really only worth it if you're planning on doing termite work. Um, let's see. And Justin Williams says, "Thank you. I'm primarily dealing with outside pests and yards and want to make." Yeah, if you're doing yard treatments, which I do not really do, I have a yearly fire ant treatment that I provide, but I don't do like any type of herbicide or whatever you want to call them, lawn and ornamental type of treatments. For that, I know my cousin does that in the Midwest, and he stresses that a rig is necessary for that, but he has done them with a backpack as well. So I think it would be a little more necessary, but not like make or break if you're doing a lot of lawn treatments. But it's always, like I said, with a rig, it's always something that you can stash some money aside. Once you have some proof of concept, just like anything in business, you save up for it and then you buy it. At least that's how I like to do it when possible, right? Maybe set aside $100 per month, or 500 bucks per month, whatever the case may be. Just have some sort of target that, hey, if I do 10,000 in profit this month, then I'll go buy a rig, or whatever the case may be, right? Or like we said, if it becomes a total absolute must, you do what you got to do, right? So yeah, that's how we did it as well. So yeah, hopefully, oops, just lost my marker. Hopefully that did answer everybody's questions. Let's see. Do they sell their contracts? I do not believe so. I don't believe so. Freddie, about do they sell their contracts? I do not believe so. But there are websites out there too that you could copy from. To be honest, like some of them you may have to purchase and then copy and do the same type of thing. But I don't believe Gorilla Desk does at this moment. But like I said, you could find one online that you like, copy it, edit it, all that stuff, and then you could take it to Gorilla Desk as well with you. And then, like I said, it's something like $35 or something around there to get your own contract put into Gorilla Desk for your. I believe it's all, once you get it uploaded, it's electronic fill out and all that too. So, yeah, hopefully you guys, like I said, did enjoy today's stream. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. If you didn't already, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button. I see we got like 5 likes so far. I appreciate you guys, liking and all that. And if you're new and you haven't already, be sure to smash the subscribe button below and hit the bell icon and make sure your notifications for YouTube are turned on. That way you'll get notified anytime we go live or upload another video. Like I said, the plan is either tomorrow or Thursday at the latest to have a video uploaded for you guys about commercial pest control and stuff. And of course, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to shout them out below the video once this live goes from a live stream to a video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.